gentlemen, we are going to talk about Inktober today. But before I get too deep into it, I want to talk about the ARTSNACKS official Inktober box. So, this box arrived the day before October 1st. On the same day that it finally arrived, I received a message from the company apologizing because I had been waiting for this for weeks and the tracking information never updated. So I had paid a lot of money for this to come all the way to Sweden, so I was getting a little agitated that it hadn't arrived yet. The same day I got this box, I came home and saw that I had an email from the company refunding me part of the shipping cost and offering to send me a brand new box. I'm glad I caught them before they sent me a box, so I would have felt really bad having 2 limited edition boxes. But I really do appreciate ARTSNACKS refunding part of the very expensive shipping costs to the US. So thank you, ARTSNACKS. Let's look what you sent me. I obviously already opened this box because I've been using the materials on the inside for the last week. So we kind of start with a nice little print and a note from Jake Parker. There was another card that had the contents in it, as well as like the calendar for the month, but I don't know where I put that. So we have this beautiful print and this nice letter from Mr. Jake Parker himself. And then we have paper. We have the Arnheim rag paper. This stuff is really neat and I'm excited to use this, but I'm not going to be using this for Inktober. It's really thick, really nice textured, super white paper, so I'm excited to play with this later. The same goes for these. So this is a 24 set of brush marker, water based inks, meaning they're water soluble, so you can do some cool watercolor effects. There are so many colors in this set. It's beautiful. You have a fine kind of bullet nib on one side and a brush on the other. I really want to try to do Huevember this year, and I think that's what I'm going to save these guys for, just because they're water-based, you can get different tones and do something really neat. So you will be seeing these guys later. Before we get to the sketchbook, we do have some super black India ink by Speedball. I have played with this stuff. It's really nice. It's not super like thick and gooey, so that's a plus. I'm not going to be using this for Inktober. I think next video I'm going to go through the actual supplies that I'm using regularly for Inktober, but I want to get another week in and make sure I'm still using the same supplies. We also got this beautiful pen holder and nib. This is such a pointy nib, like you could seriously shank and hurt somebody with this. I haven't played with it too deeply. It's much pointier than any of the nibs I normally use, so you can get very fine lines, but also it's kind of scratchy. I think if I played with it more, I'd get more used to it. But look at this beautiful handle. It's so shiny and so Inktober-y. This is something I'm using kind of regularly. It's a Copic drawing pen with a nice kind of nib. I'm using this a lot for little cross hatchings and things if I forget to do them and I've already like put away my ink and I don't want to make a mess. So this is kind of like my nice backup pen, and I have been enjoying using this. I can't get it to work perfectly every time, like I'm having trouble getting it to consistently draw, but I think that's a problem with me and not the pen. And then last but not least, we have the official Inktober sketchbook for this year. I really like the sketchbook this year. It's hardcover, it's fully bound, it's got this nice vegan leather finish, and of course it's square. Square sketchbooks are kind of all the rage these days. I really like it. It's nice. I do have one complaint though, and I haven't seen many other complaints about this, so it might just be my book, but I don't know if you guys can see it, but a lot of my pages in this book have really strong creases in them, and it's more prominent in the front of the book than the back. But it's rather frustrating to have a brand new, fresh out of the box sketchbook that's limited edition and then all this other stuff to have, and it's got creased pages. I'm pretty sure I just got a bum book, and I mean, there's nothing really to be done about it. It's not stopping me from drawing my Inktober, but it is a little sad because I've been waiting and looking forward to this book for a while. But what are you gonna do? Anyway, let's get to the art. So before I get too much into this comic and what I'm doing, I want to talk about my characters. We are going to see 3 main characters this week, introducing the last one at the very end, but our main character is a female character named Jerboa, and she's our protagonist. She is a small rodent-like character with puffy hair, a t-shirt, really, really long tail with a tuft of hair on the end. If you're not familiar with the animal Jerboa, it does actually exist. And something I've kind of done to be a little cheeky and lazy in this story is I've actually named all of my characters after the animals that they are. So Jerboa is a Jerboa. The next character we have is Uncle Pika. A pika is this really large hamster-like animal, and they're fat and chubby, and they almost look like they should be a rabbit with short ears, but they don't have the same anatomy quite either. Somewhere between a hamster and a rabbit. In my story, Uncle Pika is the person who's taken Jerboa in. We don't get a whole lot of prologue with where I started because I really wanted to start with the prompts, but I have done some planning and some other sketches of their life together before she finds the ring, which was the first prompt. But I've kind of imagined Uncle Pika as this flamboyant, theatrical, loving character, which makes the second prompt, Mindless, a little more chilling. The story starts with Jerboa discovering this kind of magical glowing light. She investigates further and finds a giant glowing ring. Using some ingenuity skills, she managed to get the ring out of the canyon where she kind of found it. I kind of have an idea that their world, their home, is kind of in a cave system situation, but that again would come more from prologue than what we see too much of in the story at the time. So she finds this giant magical glowing ring and brings it back home to show to her uncle. When he sees it, he's a little uncomfortable with it. And to show him that it's safe, Jerboa decides to stick her arm through the hole, only to find that the ring shrinks onto and clamps onto her upper arm. This is where the prompt Mindless comes in. I've focused on Uncle Pika's face and some details in his eyes, and my thought was kind of him going into an angry zombie rage, trying to get the ring. He grabs it, he pulls at it, he actually yanks Jerboa off of her feet and throws her onto the ground. And the comic takes a very serious turn. She's incredibly upset already because she's been thrown on the ground, and she kind of crawls away to hide behind a cabinet or counter. At this point, I'm kind of on the fence because I left a lot of empty space in the next couple pages, and I'm not sure if I want him to be saying terrible things to her, calling her a dirty rat, and saying maybe he should have never taken her in, and all that. Or if I just want to leave it creepily silent, there is kind of this mood of silence in the... There's a cat noise. There is this mood of silence and eeriness with the empty space, especially after he grabs the knife. The next word was bait, and that's where I kind of thought maybe he's baiting her with her words, but I also kind of did a secondary meaning where her tail is sticking around the side of the counter. So maybe she's baiting him. When he approaches to go after her again, she's ready for him and kicks him in some of the ugliest pages so far in this book. And he flies across the room, hits his head on the wall, and goes unconscious. Jerboa stands over him, looking down, trying to take in everything that's happened. I mean, lots of emotions and lots of feelings. Oh, and as she's doing that, the ring grows and falls to the ground again. She leans over to investigate, only to have Uncle Pika awaken, lunge for her, and literally knock her inside of the ring. She disappears through the ring like a portal, and as she's going through it, it shrinks again, latching onto her tail. With only her tail in the ring left, the ring pops out of existence, and we find Jerboa laying face first in snow, leading us to the next prompt, freeze. With freeze, we see Jerboa sitting in a pile of snow, looking up at the night sky, wondering where she is. Thinking fast, Jerboa, looking at the prompt build, gathers snow into a large pile and starts to build herself sort of a makeshift igloo. After the snow has been gathered and piled together, she burrows deep inside of it and hopes to protect herself from the freezing wind. Not only is she not dressed for cold weather, she's not a cold weather animal. Jerboas are desert animals. Not that I mentioned that in the story at all. And she hunkers down into her makeshift igloo. She has a lot of time in there to reflect on how she's gotten there, and honestly, she doesn't really know why or how she got there. She knows for some reason Uncle Pika attacked her. She knows she somehow magically wound up in this snow-covered barren landscape. And she knows she has this ring clamped around her tail. Then she hears a scratching noise. And with a crunch, a nose has entered her little home. That nose pulls back, her home crumbles around her, and she's face to face with a giant animal. This brings us to the last prompt of the week. Husky. Jerboa is faced with a gigantic husky dog. Will it eat her? Will it attack her? Who knows? What I do know is that dog is so dang adorable. I do plan on eventually going through all of this and putting words to the pictures. I kind of am loosely planning on basically redrawing all of these pages digitally, fixing the ones I don't like, adding more or less contrast to them, adjusting postures and such, and then putting in speech bubbles. That is, if I want to do something with this, if I want to publish it. The main point behind doing this is I want to have a completed work, and it might not be the fanciest or nicest, but it's gonna be 100, 150 pages by the time I'm done with it. I actually need to order an extra one of these sketchbooks. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm hoping I can keep up with it. A lot of my students are really enjoying watching. They're asking me how my Inktober's doing. They're wanting to see my sketchbook at the end of each day. I'm trying to encourage them as much as I can to participate, but also, I mean, guys, you practice, you can do this kind of stuff too. Anyway, getting to the end of this video, I hope I can keep this up. I hope you are enjoying watching this. If you want to see every day uploaded, please follow my Instagram. It's a Typo Productions, same as my YouTube name, also linked. And if you want to see kind of some behind the scenes stuff, a lot of sketches, please follow my Patreon. You don't have to be a patron to get a lot of stuff. I'm thinking about uploading some of the non-sped up footage for patrons to view, if there's any interest in that. But as of now, there's a lot of things you can see just by going to my Patreon and following me on Patreon. It's my patrons, the website is Patreon. If you liked this video, please like. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. Are you doing Inktober? What are you doing Are you doing Inktober? What are you doing for Inktober? Let me know below. I love that so many artists are starting with the same idea, the same prompts, and they're doing so many beautiful things, and everyone has different goals. Everyone has different things they want to do, and I have a special place in my heart for when people create stories, because it's so cool to see the different types of stories that can be created from literally the same ideas. Please comment below. Tell me what you're doing. Tell me what you think about what I'm doing. Tell me what you think's gonna happen next. Until then, I'll see you next time. Bye.